The breaking news is that Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Sri Lankan leader, has resigned. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister has resigned. The political crisis in Sri Lanka has escalated. That escalation comes in the wake of the most severe economic crisis that the island nation has perhaps ever faced. There have been riots which have been taking place. There have been extreme shortages and a complete inability of the Sri Lankan economy to function at this stage. The loan situation is absolutely precarious. Sri Lanka now an international defaulter, and in a situation like this, the powerful Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was fighting it out, has chosen to resign. So we'll continue to bring you more details of this. Do we have Srija up on the phone line? All right, let's go across to Srija, who was in Colombo some time back tracking the story. Joins us now. Srija, Rajapaksa was defying, what many would have advised him to do, to step down. What has changed now?
Well, over the past few days, this particular report with respect to, Mahinda Rajapaksa, he's going to step down, has been surfacing over the last few days or so. But again, we understand his office kept denying such reports. And also he did, of course, go on to, state the fact that, yes, of course, his brother wouldn't ask him to step down. But clearly, we understand things have changed in the last 24 hours. There was a meeting which was also being held. This is after several discussions. We understand that Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa has been forced to step down as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Now, what's most important to note at this point in time, this particular resignation comes just right after where we understand, certain reports that are surfacing where several of the pro-government protesters, this is of Gotabaya Rajapaksa's protesters, attacking the protesters who are sitting for a peaceful protest right outside, the golf face green, which is, they have named it as Gota Go Gama. Now, we have witnessed two different protests that has been taking place since this morning from Maina Go Gama, then Gota Go Gama. This is a clash between the pro-government protesters and anti-government protesters. So after all that has intensified and escalated, we understand just about a few hours ago, also the principal opposition in Sri Lanka, Mr. Prebadasa, was also attacked during that one of the protests. So several discussions have ensued and have reached a point where we understand Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa has stepped down as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Now, what really remains to be seen is, because remember, this entire protest that we are witnessing, the uprising in Sri Lanka, clearly is not weakening, because what the people are demanding, continuing to demand, because as we speak, it is just not a matter of one or two protest sites, because the entire state, especially the entire island, has gone on an island-wide protest, including over 2,000 trade unions who are planning to sit on a protest tonight at 9 p.m. But what's important to note over here is the uprising, especially the people coming together, and they're saying they want a change in the regime. It is not just the resignation of Mahinda Rajapaksa, but also the entire regime, the entire dynasty politics or Rajapaksas to step down for a new government.
All right, thanks very much for joining us. But just before I let you leave, Srija, what is the immediate situation as far as the economic crisis, the rations on food and fuel, the food crisis across the country? What is the humanitarian situation on the ground?
Well, firstly, the chairman of Litro Gas Agency, he has also, cleared the air at the moment, asking people, requesting people, Sri Lankans, to not wait in long queues, because the supply will resume on Friday, which means they have to really clearly wait for the cooking gas supply for the next few days or so. So there is shortage of cooking gas that we are speaking about. Also the fuel, there is shortage at various petrol stations. Of course, they have run out of fuel, but some of the service providers have also put up boards saying that there is no fuel. people are continuing to wait in long serpentine queues. Some people have even left their vehicles right outside these fuel stations for days together because the country has, almost run out on fuel. Still, it is only now they are just paying, the dues. But however, that is still not sufficient as far as the 22 million people of Sri Lanka is concerned. What's more important to note that is in terms of essentials, food essentials. Now that is also in shortage, has completely fallen short of supply in whole of Sri Lanka. There are several of the people that we are talking about in terms of, the below poverty line who have cut short on their food intake, which is from, 3 meals a day to at least 1 meal a day. Kids, children as young as, the toddlers we're talking about, they don't really have milk supply at all. They've been fed with tea. Now, this is the situation as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. Of course, the foreign deficit, the reserves that we're talking about is at least almost touched rock bottom. And of course, the people who have been demanding here, all that they're saying is that this uprising is more about the humanitarian crisis and for the government to come forward and address its issues, and it's not about where people versus government.
All right.